Assalamu alaikum. Hello, this is Zubair Ishfaq. Welcome to today's webinar. First of all, tell me that if you can hear me clear. If you have any question, we have ask a question feature. You can raise hand and ask anything. So we are waiting for some attendees and we're going to start within a few minutes. So we are waiting within 1 and 2 minutes. We're going to start. Okay, stay tuned. Hello and welcome. Today's webinar is about how to become a TensorFlow certified developer. Thank you for time and being here today. My name is Zubair Ishfaq and I am a machine learning engineer, data scientist at Chess, and I'm also certified TensorFlow developer. So if you have any question, we have enabled feature and it is on your right hand side of your screen in the auditorium. So if you have any question, just pop them in there. We're going to start soon. Okay, let's start our presentation about how to become TensorFlow developer. So actually this presentation is divided into two sections, and section one is regarding the TensorFlow certification. We're going to discuss tips and tricks and how to prepare, what is the curriculum, and section two will be the bonus section. So this is my promise that at the end of the section one, you will know the importance of the TensorFlow certification, and you will know that how you're going to ace that certification. And obviously, at the end of the section two, you know that the basics of the deep learning and which would be your first step toward certification. Now let's start our section one, which is regarding the TensorFlow certification. Again, repeating, if you have any questions, you can ask me. I can stop and give you. And it's okay. Is this certification free? Okay. Umair Jimshed just asked that is this certification free or not? Okay. Actually, uh, uh, this information is in the upcoming slides, and I'm going to discuss in detail that yeah, it's not free. It will cost you $100. Just the examination is cost you $100. The preparation fees or this thing something else. Okay. Okay. Now moving towards our section one. The section one is regarding the TensorFlow certification, and okay, let's start it. Okay, in the section one, I will shed light on upcoming slides on the following topics. I'm going to discuss that what is TensorFlow and TensorFlow high-level architecture. Secondly, the goal of this certification, that why should we have to take this exam? And thirdly, most importantly, what is exam curriculum and what are the recommended courses? What is the material? How can you prepare for this certification? Finally, most importantly, tips and tricks. I mean, tips and tricks is the most important part because it's going to help you in your examination a lot. Now moving forward. Let's just to get to know that what is the TensorFlow. So as we know that TensorFlow is an end-to-end open source platform or for machine learning, and in other words, it's a Python library. But I want to put that definition in different words. I mean, TensorFlow is the Python-friendly open source library for numerical computation, and that makes the machine learning faster and easier. So next, we're going to know that the high-level architecture of TensorFlow. I just want to make clear one thing that this certification is regarding TensorFlow version 2. Okay, there are many versions, but this certification is regarding TensorFlow version 2. So this is the high-level architect of our TensorFlow. On the left-hand side, you can see that they are these particular things are APIs. Okay, there are many APIs being used for the data design and modeling and distribution strategies, and we're going to save them, serialize them, and there are many different APIs for deployment. So I'm going to discuss some of the important, uh, APIs, just like data API, which is used to build complex input pipelines from simple and reusable pieces. In other words, what I mean that it will handle the large amount of data. You would have tweeters in LLP. In NLP, we have tweets coming, and we have to pass that tweets, and we have to transform that tweet into some meaningful manner, get some sentiment. So it will help to handle the large amount of data. And the second thing is too that it reads from different data formats. We have many different data formats. We have JSON, we have CSV file, we have XMLs. So actually, this API really help you to, read the data from different data formats. Okay, and and it also perform transformations, complex transformations. Transformations mean if you want to calculate the from days, you want to calculate weeks and months and anything like that, it really help you in that matter. The second thing is the crash. Actually, everyone should know what is crash. Actually, it's just embedded in TensorFlow version 2. And before that, we use estimators. Estimators is encapsulated many action in it. Training, evaluation, and prediction. And at this point, the training distribution. The training distribution is there. Basically, it helped. Whenever we do training, we have the data center. We want to train it, and it helps to distribute training across multiple GPUs, multiple machines, or multiple TP, whatever you said. This API is responsible for that, and you have very little things to do. To it handles it by its own. So on the right-hand side, we have a different deployment APIs. If you want to deploy, we're going to use the TensorFlow serving on the cloud, and TensorFlow Lite being used on microcontrollers, Android, iOS, Raspberries. And if you want to do machine learning on the browser or deployment on the browser or not, that .js going to help you. So I'm going to take an answer. What are the prerequisites? Yes, actually, prerequisite would be, yes, you should know in depth the concepts of deep learning. I will discuss that thing in later slides, but you should know that you should know what is machine learning and in deep learning. And you have to show your proficiency in deep learning using the CRAS, TensorFlow version 2. So yes, there is prerequisite, which is deep learning and understanding. That's the prerequisite for you. Okay, just move forward. Okay, what is the certification? The goal of this certification and why should you take this exam? So I will try to motivate you to take this exam. Okay, actually, more specifically, actually, it is your ability to use TensorFlow. I mean, the Python version of TensorFlow to build deep learning models for a range of tasks. I mean, the task would be the problem would be like regression problem. The problem would be like classification problem of the images. I mean, you have a cats and dogs problem right there, and computer vision problems, and natural language processing problem. I mean, somebody would ask you to build a model who going to sentimental do sentimental analysis, and it might be somebody say you I mean, there might be some question regarding the time series problem in which you have to forecast the upcoming trend. So that thing is going to be test about. Okay, so for that you have to know that what is the convolution neural networks, and how to handle the images, how to handle the natural language processing, and the things like that. So take away from this slide that first of all, you should know that you should know how to use the TensorFlow version 2. The second thing, that it will test your ability to develop models for regression, computer vision, NLP, and time series. So, what are the benefits of TensorFlow certification? So, first of all, it will increase your proficiency in machine learning and test your ability with the TensorFlow assessment exam. Okay, and the secondly, just like that, you can share your certificate on your resume and on the social media platform like LinkedIn, Twitter, whatever social media platform you use, and obviously it will would be recognized as a top candidate for recruiters. The secondly, you will receive or be recognized by other in the global TensorFlow community and help recruiters in finding machine learning experts in your area. So from here, I've just wanted to add something from my web. Just a moment. Yes. So as you can see right here, Uh, actually, it's the map, and every TensorFlow certified being represented here. Let's suppose in Pakistan we have Ali Hassan, and we have Noman, and we have Burhan. It's me, Zubair, and Sharjeel. So it's a help recruiter and anyone who is looking for to recruit someone in that area. It to just come and get to your profile from here. So it really helps you to get hired. Now coming back to our slide, and I will take another question. How different is from Pytorch? Yes, it's syntax. It's all about syntax. I mean, it's just introduced Keras right now, so it's all about syntax. It's nothing different. But you can say that it's all about the usability. We have scikit-learn, we have different libraries. The perfect answer would be in upcoming slides. I'm going to answer your question in upcoming slides. So now, why TensorFlow? I mean, why it's different? I mean, it's the same thing. So we have Pytorch, we have Crash, we have Orange Tree, Thenos, and we have Microsoft Cognitive Toolkit, we have Scikit-learn, and we have Cafe. So the million-dollar question is why TensorFlow? Why we have to do certification in TensorFlow? I mean, I don't know till in my knowledge that there is no other certification available for any of other machine learning libraries, and only certification available is for TensorFlow. First of all, and the second thing is that you have to prove your proficiency, that you are expert enough. I mean, there are other way to do that. You have to make out your own profile and do a lot of project, and somebody have to land or do your project, and you have to some sort of reference that it would drive him to your project's portfolio. But the other ways, if you are connected or in the network of certified persons who is machine learning certified, to for the recruiter, it's easy for them to hire you or look at your profile. So as we know that we should keep monitoring the technology space, and we have to keep an eye that which technology is emerging. So as you can see that we have a huge trend number of users asking the question regarding the TensorFlow on our Stack Overflow. So you can see that approximately 80% of questions being asked regarding the TensorFlow, and for PyTorch and Scikit learned, there is hardly 20%. So in other words, what I mean that there are more number of users for TensorFlow than other uh, languages or other machine learning mm, uh, libraries. So there are more number of users of TensorFlow. So the second thing is what is the job market, and this particular screenshot is taken from the Hackers News, which is a page which lists the monthly collection of the software developers. So as you can see that there are more number of jobs as compared to PyTorch and Crash. So you should count Crash as the part of the TensorFlow now. So there is a particular API which you're going to use in your exam. So you can say that there are more number of jobs for TensorFlow than any other. So the takeaway from the information slides that number of users or of the TensorFlow are much more. 80% of the user are TensorFlow, which are asking question over the Stack Overflow, and the job market is big. So it really gives you motivation that you have to do certification in TensorFlow. So now, next question is that what is exam curriculum and how to prepare for it? Okay, so in next coming slide, I'm going to uh, tell you in detail what is the curriculum and how you're going to prepare for it. First of all, the TensorFlow, there was question being asked that what is the prerequisite? I will tell you that if you know the curriculum, the prerequisite you should know that actually you need to demonstrate your deep learning skills using the TensorFlow version 2. Okay, this is the first requirement, and you have to build and train neural networks for regression problems, for image classification problems, for natural language processing problem, for time series problems. The architecture used for the type of network used for image classification is CNN's convolution neural network, and to handle the NLP problem, the sentimental or tweet sentimental problems is going to be handled by the recurrent neural networks, and in a similar fashion for the time series problems and sequence and predictions is going to be handled by the RN again, recurrent neural networks. Beside that, it's also important for you that you should have knowledge of Python, resolving the issues with Python, compiling issues, and run the program in PyCharm. The reason I'm telling you that you should choose PyCharm ID actually because all the tests been conducted in the PyCharm, which is IDE, and you have to download that particular software, which is IDE, and you have to enable Python in it, and in the Python you have to install TensorFlow version 2. So this would be challenging for you because I have seen many cases in which the students are not prepared or they have no knowledge of the PyCharm ID, and whenever they are doing test and they face many challenges, many compatibilities issues, dependencies issues. So what happened that they have lost a lot of time to fixing these issues. So from the beginning, I will try to convince you that you should start using the PyCharm IDE if you are looking forward for that test, and you have complete understanding the compatibility and discrepancies between different versions of TensorFlow and the PyCharm IDE. You should also investigate and solve error messages from the TensorFlow APIs, and it could be related to the compatibility issues. And The cost of the examination is approximately $100, and the $100, whenever you pay for the $100, the third party will give you the link, and you have approximately 6 months to complete that exam. So it would be quite enough time for you. There is an other question. Collab is also sport? Yes, yes, yes. It's also sport. Yes, somebody asked me, Mubashir, as in was asked me that Google Colab also support TensorFlow. Yes, TensorFlow 2 you don't need to install a TensorFlow 2 because 2 or 3 months back in January or February you need to install TensorFlow 2 and you have to run your code on the Colab after installing that code. But right now by default TensorFlow is enabled, and it's very good idea to use Colab while doing that test. But for the preparation, I will again suggest you that you have to use the PyCharm IDE. Its community edition is free, and you can use it right now and try to install the TensorFlow version 2 and make models from it. There is another question. I'm using on TensorFlow. Yes, yes, you are using, yes, you are obviously right now. If you are using nowadays, yes, yes. Actually, I have to rephrase the question because I don't think everybody is seeing that. Actually, Mubashir asked me that I'm using TensorFlow on Collab. So what he mean that yes, whether he's confused that he's using version 2 or not. Yes, actually, right now nowadays, if you're using it's version 2 on Collab, it's version 2. It's no problem for you. So I was that I come back to the our slide. PyCharm IDE. PyCharm IDE, you should use it, and its community edition is free. And whenever you're preparing for that exam, you should use it and get hands-on on it. So let's moving forward. Okay, there is another thing which is called education stipend. Nowadays, Google is offering that stipend to students, and there is two, perks in it. I mean, you have, Coursera specialization as stipend. I mean, there is a specialization on Coursera, which is free for you if you get that stipend. And the second thing, you just have to pay $50 for your for your exam. So I will ask you to I can show you that where this thing how you can achieve it on my slides. Just a minute. Yes, actually this information of the stipend is right here. Yes, information is right here, and it is, if you want to apply for it, you have to do it right now because there are limited number of seats, and the second thing is that it will take to decide whether who to allot the stipend or not. It will require them 2-3 months to decide that. So if you get it, you have plenty of time. I mean, approximately you have approximately you have 6 months to complete that stipend. And if somebody is interested, you have to go for it, and it's really good for you because you have to pay only $50, and within a $50 you're going to get that stipend, and you're going to take that exam in $50. Now coming back to our slide. Okay, the second thing I just wanted to tell you that the examination duration is of 5 hours, and the 5 different questions going to be asked to you, and the complexity of the question will increase incrementally. I mean, first question would be easy one, the second one is the hard one, and third one is the hardest, so on. So now the question is that how you going to prepare for this exam. I have my own recommendations. Number one, that if you want to prepare for the deep learning for AI, a very good program, introduced by the Dice Analytics. I have gone through their curriculum. It's very good and very efficient program. You get detail further detail from their website. It's very good. I will recommend it. The second recommendation from my side is TensorFlow in Practice Specialization, which is again a Coursera. And I just want to explain a little bit more about that specialization. On the Coursera, its specialization is comprised of four different courses, and it's totally depend upon you. You are able to complete that course within 1 month or 2 months, but it will cost you $59. Okay, and actually the different four courses are the introduction of machine learning and deep learning, and all about the convolution network image processing thing, the natural language processing, the sentimental thing, and the time series. These are the four courses, and it's a very good course. First two courses are very good. You have to take these two courses to ace that certification. And moving forward, we have another course available on Audacity. I think it's free. The name of the course is Intro to TensorFlow for Deep Learning. This course is very good. It's completely free. The last one is Machine Learning Foundation. It's completely free. It's a YouTube playlist, and you can go there and search it with the name of Lawrence Morney. You're going to get that YouTube playlist, and you're going to understand. I mean, he's very good teacher. I mean, I have gone through that playlist. I will obviously recommend you. Oh, it's not the main thing. Main other things are not covered in this playlist, but it'll give you a very good idea. So the last course, which a video or course which I will recommend you, is a deep learning specialization by the Andrew Ng. It's one of the best courses, and it, it's very in detail. If you want to know the nitty gritty of the deep learning, that's the course you have to go for it. First of all, the deep learning, actually Andrew Ng is also co-founder of the Coursera, and he's the pioneer of the machine learning and deep learning, and he's very good teacher. And in that course, about approximately 80% or 70% of time, they're going to tell you the theory, the equation, the mathematical forms. I mean, deep learning is all maths, so it's going to tell you about all the a detailed level of algebra and mathematics, that what is the loss function, and what is a convolution, and each and every course is very good. I obviously recommend you, if you afraid of deep learning, you want to get in-depth knowledge of deep learning, you have to go to that course. Another book which I've read is very good. It's very informative for machine learning, is hands-on machine learning, Sackett and Crash, and it's very good. I do recommend you, if you are data scientist, if you're a machine learning engineer, you have to read that book. Its version 2 is out there. It's very good book. But for particular this certification, I will recommend you to study from chapter 10 to chapter 16, not more than that. I mean, I mean, there are a lot of things regarding crash, and there are a lot of things regarding others. Regarding the scikit-learn and the SVM. There are a lot of stuff in there, but you have to, for if you are looking forward for the certification, TensorFlow certification, just you have to cover from chapter 10 to 16. So it's going to cost you $50. And Deep Learning with Python, it's another very good book. It's also recommended by the Google TensorFlow. So or another book is Deep Learning, which is MIT Press book, and you can find it on the website. It's free. Okay, let's see. Does somebody have any question? No, not no. So again, speaking, if you have any question, you can ask me anytime. Okay, the takeaway from that slide is that, first of all, you have to uh, get expert in deep learning. And deep learning, you have plenty of options right here. DIF Analytics offering very good course. TensorFlow in practice specialization is very good for Coursera. And the deep learning specialization is very good. You can go, I mean, my problem is that whenever I try to understand a concept and I'm not able to get and gaps of that concept, so I consult some other books. So in the similar fashion, you have material right here in this slide. You can understand different things from here. Now, moving forward, the most important thing, the tips and tricks and techniques and strategies you're going to use. So before that, I just want you to share, the website link of TensorFlow developer, that what's the certification given and what's type of information given in it. So as you know, review book handout is very good information and lots of things been given in that particular area. I mean, the checklist just tell you that what type of expertise you should have, uh, what type of things you have to do. I mean, as said, as discussed before, that you should know how to use the TensorFlow. You have to build and compile models and using the TensorFlow, and you should know how to pre-processing the data. I mean, these most of the things which I don't cover or don't mention. Obviously, if you know the deep learning, which is a subject in our second section, you're going to understand this thing very easily. That's why I'm not including this, the particular wordings in my slide. So as it said that image classification and natural language processing and the time series. So all the information is provided here, and how what is like eligibility criteria, how to register the fees and payment. So beside my presentation, you have to go and visit the tensorflow.org certificate, and you get most of the things from here. It will telling you the step by step how to register. Obviously, you have to go through the book and make preparation, register the exam. Preparing for the exam, it will tell you that what is the PyCharm ID. The same thing I just told you, and what will happen if you take the exam and submit. Obviously, the surprising thing is that okay, I will discuss thing in upcoming slides, tips and tricks. Receive the certificate and share your community. This thing be covered from here. Now coming back towards our slide. Okay, the tips and tricks is really help you to is your TensorFlow certification, and these are the experience-based tips and tricks which I have experienced. Okay, first of all, use the model template. Okay, what I will suggest you that when you are participating whenever you're participating and you are building a model, or whenever you are practicing, in other words, you make template and save them. For example, you are dealing with the multi-classification problem in which you have to identify the cat and dog. So just you make a skeleton of that particular section of the model, and just save that model with the multi-classification tag in somewhere in your notes. Okay, so what will it help you? I mean, in the exam, you don't have to write the whole thing. It will easy for you to plug and play. Just get copy and just paste it. Okay, okay, actually somebody have using the, okay, before moving forward, I'm trying to answer different questions being asked on the chat box. Okay, prerequisite I have recorded. Recording be available? Okay, the administration going to answer that. I don't know whether the recording is available. So excited for tips and tricks. Yes, yes, it's really nice to hear that. Send me the video on WhatsApp. What's the different from Pytorch? How? time need prepare for the certification? How much time we need to prepare? Yes, actually, the Khalil asked me that how much time would be needed to prepare for the certification. Okay, it again depend upon you. Deep learning is not that easy. I mean, I'm going to give you a tutorial of the deep learning and the fundamentals of deep learning, but it's totally depend upon you, how capable you are, how you're going to, what's your algebra, what is your you're going to digest the new concepts. It totally depend upon you, but it's very easy. It's not that hard. You can prepare for it within 2 months or 3 months, and it's not that hard. How long would it take to learn TensorFlow? If you are expert in deep learning, TensorFlow would be the piece of cake for you. I mean, deep learning is the key. You should know the fundamentals of deep learning. You should know convolution neural networks, and you should know what are the LSTMs and the different terminologies being used in recurrent neural networks. So you should aware of it. So can you please use PyCharm or VS Code for the practice, which I yeah, actually I'm reading questions, and sometimes it's very hard for me to read the questions because I'm not understand. Because Sir PyCharm made extra files and virtual environment. Yes, actually, Muhammad Zain asking that we can use PyCharm VS Code for the practice. Which ID is best? Yes, actually, I just told you that Community Edition is free. You can use the PyCharm ID Community Edition, and actually, that test been conducted in that. To be more precise, they will ask you to download a plugin which is called TensorFlow Developer plugin, and in the plugin when you open, all the questions would be there, and you have to open that plugin and submit train the models right there in the PyCharm, and have to submit that in the model, and all the big things been done in the PyCharm. So you have to be if you are preparing for the exam, you have start using that PyCharm, because I was facing lots of problem in my exam. I face a problem which I will discuss later. uh, so it's very good for you to use the PyCharm from the beginning. I mean, learning along deep learning, I know MLP. Okay, you should mean that NLP. Okay, okay. Yes, actually, you should know that there are many different techniques. You can use the NLP in many different ways. There are many different algorithms available. So the algorithm is required for that certification is deep learning. It's all about uh, getting tested your proficiency in deep learning using the TensorFlow version 2. It's all about that. I think there is last question. No, there's no more question. Now let's move on. So again, the first trick is that whenever you are preparing for that exam, just make a skeleton of a particular model, and save it in your notes. And whenever a such question appear in your exam, just you just need to change some hyperparameters, and you're going to get 100% marks in your exam. So it is not multiple choice question type of test. It is exactly it will ask you 5 models to create. A first model would be the very easy. It is regarding the regression model. The second would be the simple convolution neural network. You have to make a convolution neural network. It might be asked you to multi-classification for the stone paper scissor. It is another problem available in our convolution neural network. So all the things being it's no multiple type question. In short, it will ask you five different questions, five different models you have to prepare, and the complexity of model will increase as the from 1 to 3. I mean, its complexity increase, and if you have skeleton already made, you can just plug in the skeleton, change some hyperparameters, and get your auspicious result. Okay, let's move forward, and then I will take some questions. Okay, be prepared. Okay, what I mean, I have discussed many times, and somebody asked me the question. I have already answered that. Get your system ready, install the PyCharm Community Edition, get TensorFlow ready in it, and practice or build models in that environment from the beginning. Again, I'm telling you, I faced that problem. I mean, when I was uh, preparing that model, I have to download that model and have to upload it. So I faced some problems. My 1.5 hour wasted in fixing that problem. So because it was something new for me. So it's good for you if you keep practicing on community edition of PyCharm from beginning. Okay, there are further more questions. What is fee, Coursera fee, and exam fee? Okay, the Muhammad Ali asked me that what is the fee? What is the course fee, exam fee? Okay, I don't know what is the course fee, but on the course exam fee would be actually, first of all, what is the fees of the course? I mean, it depends upon you that if you are looking forward uh, to do course from the dice analytics, it would be cost you 25,000. And if you are looking forward to do from Coursera, so it will cost you $59 per month. And again depend upon you that how much time it will take to finish that course. And in the similar fashion, if you are using the exam fee would be $100. It's not, if you get a stipend, it would be $50, but exam fee would be the $100. Usman, and all the attendees are from Pakistan, so please speak in English so we both feel convenient. So please speak in English. So, okay. Mm, I don't know what he mean by this. Okay, just moving forward. Uh, okay, okay. So again, another third tip from my side is that you have to use collab. What I mean by this that now, as mentioned earlier, you should have five questions, and you have to build five different models. So you need to wait until unless a training is completed. You attempt question number one, and you have create a model, and your training is in progress. Okay, obviously in the deep learning, the training obviously going to be utilize some your hardware and take some time. Okay, and if you have a GPU in your computer, it would be very great for you, and it would be uh, 1/2 speed. I mean, half of the speed would be utilized. If you have CPU, it will take more time. So you don't have to waste your time until the training finished. You can spontaneously start the second question, and the second and start the training the second question in your collab. I mean, collab tree is another cloud form of notebook available for you all, and by default TensorFlow 2 is installed in it, and you don't have to worry about uh, the takeaway from this trick is that whenever uh, you are trying to answer number one, question number two, you don't have to wait until unless the training is completed. You have very limited time. The limited time is 5 hours. What I have to do, you have to do the your computer resources is busy. You can't use another parallel make a another notebook and try to solve the problem, what you have to do, you have to use cloud. And for cloud, you have to use the collaboratory Google's notebook available. You can use its GPU processing power and try to build a model. So what you have to do, uh, you have to build a model. You have to download the save model in your computer and have to place it in your computer, where that directory would be given in the partition. Actually, it might be confusing for you if I'm going to tell you detail after disclosing the next fifth point. I mean, it would be easy for you. There are multiple questions right here. The fees, again, somebody asked me, Mohammed Ali, fee would be approximately $100 for the exam. And okay, Khalil asked, can you Google Colab in PyCharm, or should we create full Jupyter notebook in Google Colab? Actually, Jupyter notebook is completely different thing, and Google Colab is still completely different thing. You are mixing two different things. I mean, Google Colab is type of it's just like the Jupyter notebook, but it's a collaboratory Google collaboratory product, which is just like the Jupyter notebook. Okay, there is another question. These are really nice. I'm getting a lot of questions. Okay, what how to use TPU? Okay, TPU, Tensor Processing Unit. Actually, it is expensive. You have to pay for it. The TPU is not free. You have to pay for it. It's not that easy. ओके, यस, हम उर्दू बोल सकते हैं. आई हैव नो प्रॉब्लम विद दैट, बट आई थिंक इंग्लिश को हर कोई समझ सकता है. वी कैन गो फॉर इंग्लिश, इट्स नॉट अ प्रॉब्लम. So the somebody asked that what to use, how to use TPU. TPU is not free. You have to pay for it. I mean, if you are with that Google Cloud Services, here TPU is enabled and you can use for it, and it's very fast. But here you don't need it's not the training couldn't take so much time. When you if you have the GPU, it would be quite enough. If you have the CPU, it could be enough. You have another option that you can go for the collab, so it would be any problem. The fourth point which I wanted to discuss is regarding the dataset, TensorFlow crash dataset. Okay, so actually, you have to familiarize yourself with the dataset API. The reason is that the module provide actually free toy datasets for you, which is already vectorized in NumPy format. And there are approximately 5 to 10 datasets, and most of the questions come from that particular dataset. And you should familiarize yourself to how to use that particular API. If Because most of the time the code is written right there, but you have to do some sort of pre-processing and integrate that pre-processing code with it. So you have to familiarize yourself that how to use that data set, because if you get that thing in your paper and you are not prepared for it, so you will waste your time in understanding that particular thing. Again, let's move forward. Okay, the most important thing that okay, but how the paper work. Okay, you have the question. It's regarding the regression problem. You will make a model. If your model is training is completed, and obviously you're going to see that accuracy is quite good enough, and you're confident you're going to get good score of it. So the model would be download for it. So you should know that how to download that model, how to save that model in another file type. And that file type is going to be submitted remotely on the on the computer, or on that test center computer. In other words, that particular created model is going to be submitted somewhere on the plugin, which is Google's Drive, and it's going to test your model. So if your accuracy is very good, and if the submission was successful, after submission it will take some time and will grade you. It will grade you
by 5, I mean, you will get 5 by 5. It's been very good. Your accuracy is very good. If you receive 3 by 5, it's mean that there is something wrong with it. You should improve your accuracy. It might be overfitting, and it might be some other problem that you have to do some pre-processing. It might be possible that you have to go some overfitting strategies, just like dropout and increase number of neurons. So take away from the fifth number trick is that you should know that how to save file and how to load it and create restructure our modeling and check accuracy. What happened in my time, but I was dealing that I was facing problem while uploading the file. So I have to restart the plugin. So you have to also in next coming point is also you have to be ready for any challenge. In other words, there would be any sort of situation, you have to prepare yourself to handle that situation. What happened at my time that I was trying to create the model, and after model was completed successfully, so accuracy was very good on my development side. And when I tried to submit that file in the plugin, I was not able to submit it. It was taking too much time, and I just come to know that the model file was too big, so I have to again save that model in a different file size after do some changes in my pre-processing and in my model code. So if you follow these tricks, you're going to get very good marks. Obviously, you're going to ace that thing. Otherwise, the lots of unhidden things could become in your paper. So let's see that what question been asked right now. I have already answered. Mohammed Ali asked me fee for examination is about $100. Okay, sorry for that. It's Anaconda and Spider better opinion that PyCharm. No, yes, actually, for there is an obvious attendee who asked me the question that Anaconda. In Anaconda, we have Jupyter Notebook, yes, or we have Spider, yes, we have right there. A better option than PyCharm, yes, for learning. In my own experience, that it's better learning. But what my point is, if you are preparing for that test, but you have to give the test in the PyCharm. You have to download the plugin and you have to install the Python in your PyCharm, make an environment, and have to give the test. Most of the time, what happened that you face many challenges in whenever you call the TensorFlow in your code, you face problem. So it's better to use the PyCharm. But in other words, I mean, for the notebook and yeah, but professionally, what I suggest, whenever you're dealing with the visualization and exploratory data analysis, we use notebook. Otherwise, we use IDP, PyCharm. So it would be better for you to practice in your PyCharm instead of Jupyter Notebook. Pytorch. Okay, Pytorch. Somebody asked Mubashir, asked that how it's different from Pytorch. Pytorch is different. It's the syntax is changed. I mean, uh, uh, the totally different syntax right there. It's doing the same thing, but syntax are changed. Nothing wrong. I mean, deep learning techniques exist in TensorFlow. The pipeline for preprocessing exists in both packages, and there is nothing different. The syntax is different. The techniques are same. Dropout is right here, right there. The techniques are same. We have different optimizer functions similar in PyCharm. There is nothing change in algorithm. Only the syntax, how you're going to write code is changing. The difference between them is this. Yes, collab also support this thing. Yes, I have already answered that. Google Colab also support TensorFlow version 2. Yes, you are right. I'm using TensorFlow on Colab. Yes, it's the same thing. Now, okay, let's move forward. Okay, let's start our second presentation. Sorry for that. Okay, this is the bonus presentation for you people, in which we're going to learn about deep learning fundamentals, and it's very good for you for your knowledge. And if you, it's the first step for you if you are looking forward to do some certification in TensorFlow. So let's begin, and let's dive in details. So I will discuss about what is deep learning and evolution of deep learning. I will discuss exploring the deep learning with an example. It will really help you to make understanding crystal clear. And what is the same, assuming the same example, doing the forward propagation and moving forward optimization function. We're going to discuss in optimization function that what is the loss function and what is the optimization function. And moving forward, we're going to see what is a back propagation. So, okay, there is a lot of confusion between the artificial intelligence and deep learning. So, I'm going to try to answer and make that confusion clear today. So, artificial intelligence is, as you can see, that artificial intelligence is basically the ability of a computer or any robot to perform tasks commonly associated with intelligent being. I mean, any task being performed by uh, uh, the report or any a program which have intelligence in it, just like a human brain. So it is called artificial intelligence. So the machine learning, actually, machine learning is enabled in the machines by themselves by using the provided data and make accurate prediction. I mean, it's all about that machine learning actually automatically learn and improve from their experience and get our auspicious result or some predictions. A result could be anything. I mean, it might be clustering, unsupervised learning, which we call. It might be some supervised learning in which we have some output values, and some output value would be the classification problems and some regression problem. So any algo which help us and do some intelligent thing provided by the data. The main thing is provided by the data. That particular artificial intelligence act is called machine learning. Simple like that. And deep learning algorithm actually are inspired by the information processing pattern found in human brains. I mean, it's just like that how our brains work. It's just like the complex algorithm just copy our brain architecture and get our result in a form of some GANs. We have GANs, we have convolution neural network. So in other words, again rephrasing what I'm trying to say, that deep learning algorithm are inspired by the information processing pattern found in human brains. Okay, just like our brains to identify the patterns or classification, the various type of information. I mean, deep learning algorithm can do and taught and can accomplish the same task for machine learning. So let's move forward and go through and explore the evolution of the deep learning. Okay, there is a question. I think intelligence must be, I mean, Irfan asked that. I think intelligence must be provided by the data indirectly, but it should be provided by the model directly. I think that, yes, you're right. I mean, obviously, if, if we include data and intelligent decision being done by any machine, it's called machine learning. Yes, you're right. Okay, so there are main three eras or I mean phases of evolution of deep learning. Cybernetics, it's 1940 and 1960, and different things have been done in that particular area. And the connectionism between 1980 and 1990, and we have a brief deep learnings back in 2006. Let's move forward. Okay. Okay, in earliest, deep learning is based on, based on the idea of the biological learning. In other words, that I mean, how the human learn. So it's all about that. Uh, Actually, people wanted to imitate the human brain, and cybernetics' goal was to replicate that functionality of human brains in a similar computation model. So here comes the McLeod-Pitt neuron. So as we know that the most fundamental unit of the deep neuron network called neuron or perceptron, and but very first step towards that perceptron was taken back in 1943 by the McLeod and Pitt, two different scientists, by mimicking the functionality of the biological neuron. In other words, cybernetics was kicked off by the development of the McLeod-Pitt neuron. Actually, it was attempt to mimic the biological neuron. It was based on the linear model that would take the various inputs, I mean, just like x1, x2, x3, and from the input, it has a simple weights, I mean, right here, and the output is given, and output was binary, true and false, like that. Then we see that in 1950, and the perceptron was developed by the Frank Roosevelt, an American psychologist. Perceptron was initially designed to be the, electronical machine rather than the program or software. It was not a software, it was electronical machine, as you can see. And actually it learned automatically different weights. So here we providing some weights. I mean, we have the values and we are providing some weights right here, and it's automatically learning different weights. Okay. And actually it was used for image recognition, and it contained photocells connected to the multiple neurons which would classify the input by the photocells. Okay. The main role of the perceptron was to classify different neurons. And mm, so at the end that we have Adeline. Adeline was developed by the Brandon Woodrow, or in other words, that it was around the same time as the Stone was developed. Actually, its functionality is same thing like we just nowadays use stochastic gradient descent in our linear regression nowadays, and it was the similar architecture. But all of these technologies was not successful only of one reason, because we at that time we don't have a computation power, we don't have hardware, we don't have software, and everyone tried to use hardware, someone tried to use different electronic equipment. So at the time we don't have hardware support, and that's why it was not successful. So then in 1990s or 1980 or 1990s, the connectionism came, and the connectionism is all about the parallel distribution processing, which explains the information is processed through the pattern of the active spread. I mean, just like the brain, and we have different neurons connected to each other, and that particular activation of the neurons is in form of pattern. But what these patterns are, million-dollar question is that. So in the simpler term, I mean, it's mean that the information enters the brain, and it's begin to activate some of the neurons, and output result dependent upon neurons. So actually, connectionism, we have first of all it defined the hidden layer, and we have input values, and we have some input values. I mean we have ears, we have eyes. In the similar fashion, the particular feature picture being drawn from here, then particular in that hidden layer, a particular neuron being activated. And if we are talking about that activation spread, whether this one is activated, this one is not, and this one is activated, so there is a pattern in it, and according to that pattern of activation, the output result will be changed. So the concept of artificial neural network was introduced at that point, I mean, at that wave. So in 2006, Jeffrey Hinton used a greedy layer-wise training to train the deep brief um, neurons. The simplest form of DBN was comprised of multiple hidden layers, and each layer latent have different variables. So it's another form is being also called Boltzmann machine learning, and the evolution begin from here. We are getting some hardware support. We have getting some languages right here, so we are able to evolve that particular algorithm. And it really enables researchers and around the world to train their deeper and deeper neural network, and led to the popularization of that particular term. So let's explore the deep learning with an example. First of all, imagine you are working at the bank, and you need to build a model to predict number of transactions. I mean, the problem is that you have to predict a model, and you have to predict the number of transactions. And every year you're going to predict that, and that will help you to create estimation will help you to order the hardware that going to processing power you need next year. So you have to build a model which going to predict the number of transactions each year. So for that you have to have a number of features. Number of feature mean that you have record database, and in the database we have age of the customer, bank balance of the customer, and the status of the requirement, I mean, retirement, whether he's retired or not. So taking that example, I will try to make you understand what is fiber propagation. Okay, before that, you have to understand that if we keep the same example and see that what type of problem we will face while using the simple linear regression. I mean, in the simple linear regression, we have the same problem. We have to predict transactions, and we have same different features, just like age, just like bank balance. So you will see that if we put bank balance on our horizontal panel, and prediction transaction on our vertical, so the status of the retirement, if somebody is retired or not. So you will see that the linear regression is not capable of getting that intersections. I mean, so you can see that these two lines are straight. Whenever you use the linear regression, the lines would be straight. And it's here the neuron network come, and the unique power of the neurons to identify that intersections. And here you can see that the retirements have some intersection. We can visualize that here they're going to intersect, and here that we're going to get the values of retired or not retired, and bank balance. So in other words, deep learning models basically account for these type of intersections so well that they perform more prediction problems, that their ability to capture extremely complex intersection allow them to amazing things. I mean, we would have a lot of text, and a lot of images, lot of videos, and lot of audios, and almost any type of problem they are able to intersect that particular relationship, and give the weight And that's the remarkable thing about that particular neurons. So keeping the same example, I will try to show you that what's the forward propagation, use the data to make prediction using the forward propagation algorithm. Before that, I will try to see that there is any questions. No, there is no questions. Okay, forward propagation. Okay, first of all, I will try to make you understand that what this is. Actually, we have already discussed that we wanted to predict the number of transactions. It would be called output layer. I mean, and the first thing is called input layer. The input layer would have many features, and feature would be the age, the back balance of the person, a retirement status, whether he is retired or not. And we have hidden layer, and these things, these particular things, circular things are called neurons. So we have neurons for the input feature, we have neurons for output feature, and all the magic going to happen right in the middle section, which are called the hidden layer. We could have hidden layer, we have second layer of hidden layer right here, we could have third layer of like to make the thing simple, to make you understand easily. I have considered only one hidden layer. So every edge is connected to every hidden layer. In the similar fashion, bank balance is connected to each and every hidden layer. In the similar way, the demonstrator is connected, and all being hidden layers giving input to predict the a number of transactions. And in next slide, you're going to get in detail what is forward propagation. So taking the same example, for simplicity, I have reduced the input features. I just consider two features: number of accounts a person have and number of children a person have. And let's suppose a person have two children and he have three accounts. Okay, and in the hidden layer, how the value is 5 come. Okay, so there would be a weight right here. Okay, this is called weight. The value with weighted 2, and the value would be here 2. The three accounts with weighted 3, and it would be 3 here. So 2 plus 3 is 5. In the similar fashion, we have minus 1 weight right here, so we will get minus 2 here, and we are getting a 3 with 1, it's going to 3 here, so it could be a 1 right here. So what's happening right here, that the propagation algorithm will pass the information through the network to make the prediction to the output layer, and line connecting the input layer to by the hidden layer. So as you can see that from the left to right, we are going and updating different values and different weights, and we are getting some results. So according to that data, that weights are updated, and that particular neurons being get some value dependent upon the input value, and we are getting 9 transactions. So just keep in mind that these are forward propagation, and for your we have 2 and 3 from the input data. We have data available, and now question is that what is one and what is one is one and one come from. I mean, these are the weights, you understand that, but where these weights came from, I mean, in deep learning, these weights in first iteration, I mean, you will know that was first iteration when we are moving right, these particular weights being randomly generated and placed right here. There is no theory, they are randomly generated. And at the end of the slide, you're going to know that why they are randomly generated. Just keep in mind they are randomly generated. Okay, now moving forward towards our optimization function. And optimization function, we're going to discuss many things. What are the activation functions? What are the what is the slope? What is the gradient descent? And the things like that we're going to discuss in next. Okay, just a moment. I'm going to forward it. Okay. Okay, first of all, we should know that what is the linear function and non-linear function. I mean, I want to define these terminologies because they're going to be used somewhere in our next slide. Or before explaining optimization function, we should know that what is the linear non-linear function. A non-linear function is a function which does not form any line when weights or two values being compared. Whenever we get the relationship between two values, they are not straight line. It is called non-linear function. On the right hand side we can see non-linear function right here, and in the uh, other way around, that when the two particular actually whenever two particular variables, they have some relationship, and the relationship defines a straight line, and this straight line is called linear function. And whenever two variables have the relationship and it's not a straight line, it's called nonlinear function. Okay, now to achieve the maximum prediction power of our neurons, we must add something called activation function in our hidden layer right here. Let's suppose we have you know let's suppose we have what's going to happen. What's the advantage of that particular activation function? So we need activation function that captures the non-linearity behavior, like how it's going to be from one child to two child may impact on your banking transaction. This is non-linearity, and for to capture the non-linearity pattern, we have activation function. So activation function is something applied to the value that come into the node, and we're going to update that node. In next slide, we're going to see that. For example, we have a 10h function, and 10h function has shape like S, and so we have 2 coming from here and 3 coming from here. The value is 5, and 10 of h of 5 is very close to 0. So we're going to update that neuron with some value very close to 0. In the similar fashion, we're going to update that neuron, whatever the values come from 10h function. So this is basic introduction. I'm not going into the detail because it's going complicated for you, and it's also not the part of that curriculum. So nowadays, we standard is used our ReLU function, which is a rectified linear activation function. I mean, both in industry and research application, it's used this function. So whenever you do, most of the time you're going to use this function in your deep learning practice. So this example is from the convolution network, and what I'm telling you that non-linear captured by the activation function is could be explained right there. Let's suppose we have an image, and it's the convolution neural network diagram, hypothetically speaking, and we have inputs coming from here. Okay, and the coming inputs is at that node we see that the activation function just trap the diagonal line from here, and all the diagonal line which is coming from that image is trapped in that diagonal in that node. In the similar fashion, if you see that in this node, it's catching the human faces, and this node is capturing the cat faces. So what I mean by this that the patterns and all the aggregated over the different nodes, and transfer the learning, and some of actually what is the pattern, how the pattern is activated. So in this in a way that whenever there is the diagonal line, and some of the neurons been activated, some of the neurons are not activated, and it's been forward and just give the result to that neuron, and it's keep on learning from there. So it's very important you to understand that, to give you idea that what's neural network and what's convolution neural network. So let's discuss and let's define the loss function. We have seen the forward propagation. So taking the same example, and in the forward propagation, we have seen that we have 9 transactions resulted with 2 and 3, and coming forward and giving you 9 basically transactions. So we have predicted 9 transactions. The prediction value would be here, and the actual value was 13. Okay, so I mean, this particular neuron predicted 9 transaction, which is predicted value, and actual value was 13, and we will get error -4. So if we're going to update that particular weight at the end, I mean, last time we have 2 and -1, and we're going to update that particular weights 3 and 2. 5.3 is 15, and 2 is, so 5, 15 minus 2 is going to be 13, and we have zero error. So actually, the loss function is aggregated of error in the single measure. I mean, it's what is loss function? Just remember that the loss function is aggregated of errors into a single measure. So let's move forward, and Komal, actually, I'll give you an example for the regression task. Actually, it's the mean square error we're going to use in our deep learning whenever we're dealing with the regression problems. So here come the our optimization function. So optimization function. Okay, just we redraw that particular error to make you understand. Our goal is to get the loss function. I mean, we wanted to have the less the loss function, as we defined that loss function would be zero. It would be help us to get the weights to be updated in a way that we're going to get accurate result. So our goal is to find the weight giving the loss value for the loss function. uh, we do this with algorithm called gradient descent. Okay, so this is the representation. It's the same thing that I mean, you have seen that loss function is there, weight one and weight two, but we only going to use the weight two right here. So on the vertical axis there is loss function, on the horizontal axis we have weight. And what we wanted to do, we wanted to get a certain particular weight of us in a way that it would have lost value. So okay, I think there is a question. Well, hands-on practice, no, it's not possible to do hands-on practice in one webinar. Somebody asked me that hands-on practice, it's not possible because hands-on practice is in 2 hours. I mean, we're not able to do that at that time. We can plan it later. You can ask Dice Analytics to arrange such thing. Okay, I was that telling you that what we wanted to do, we wanted to have the loss function, and we have weights, and we have to select weight in a way that we have minimum loss function. So for that, we have algorithm gradient descent, and gradient descent is just like the slope of the loss function at our current weight called derivative. Actually, derivative is the getting the slope, and which is the term of from calculus. If you are computer engineering background, you should know that. Okay, we use that slope to decide whether which direction we to move. So in other ways, as you can see that we have to move right here. So on the left figure we have to go right here. So if our slope is positive, we have to move left, and if we have negative slope, we have to move right. And that particular loss going to be subtracted from the weights. In next coming slide you're going to see in back propagation. So the takeaway from this slide is that the slope of loss function at our current weight called derivative, and we're going to take derivative of that particular loss function, which will help us to identify the direction where to go. If the slope is positive, we have to go left. If the slope is negative, we have to go right down the hill. Right here where is the minima. Okay, let's move forward. Okay, there are many different type of optimization function, and one of the optimized function which I have discussed in our last slide, we have stochastic gradient descent, and this pattern have been decided. I mean, it's happening the same thing. It's going to minimum. Minima is at the center, minimum value of the loss function, and the pattern is changed. Somebody overshoot over it, just like any g, and going back, and momentum is going doing the same thing. There are many different optimization function, and you should know each and every optimization in your arsenal. While whenever you're doing training the model, you have to define the optimization function, and from this list, or there are many other which are not mentioned here, you can use any of them, just like stochastic gradient descent, momentum, and energy, ada grade, and root mean score prop. So let's move forward and define the backward propagation with the help of same example. So it is, don't be confused, it's been messy around there, but it's very simple. I mean, it's the repetition right here. So we are in the back propagation, but we have, let's start from, let's do that slide from the beginning. I mean, there's a lot of stuff, don't be confused. Okay, you have used gradient descent to optimize the weight in a simple model. Okay, and we add a technique, back propagation, to calculate these slopes. Okay, so I mean, you have done this part in our this slide. You have seen this thing that we are taking loss function, getting the loss function, taking the slope, taking the differentiation. This value is right here. What we are doing, we are just updating that weight. Okay, you need to optimize more complex, we have a more complex weights right here. So just like fiber propagations and inputs coming through the hidden layer, from the input layer to the output layer, the vector propagation takes the error from the output layer and propagate backward through the hidden layer, um, uh, to the input layer. So in other words, the actually it calculate the first step is calculate the slope, and the second step it's going to update the weight spontaneously again on the thing. And as we know that this type of loss function, we taking square, if something negative, we have to square it. And there is another concept of learning rate. The learning rate is very simple. I mean, learning rate just tell us that how fast we're going to update our parameter, I mean our weight, whether weight would be updated uh, depending upon the value. If we have two right here, if point two, it's going to slowly. If we have two right here and two here, so it's going to update the weight very quickly. So again, what's happening right here, it's getting the error from here, and we have take the derivative of the loss function derivation being taken from here, and multiplying with the learning rate, how fast we're going to wanted to learning rate to learn, and we are updating the weight. Weight's supposed to be right here, so weight's been upgraded, and going back, and we are updating each and every node's weight. So in the back propagation, this is happening. So this is the trick. This is all about from today's class, today's webinar. This is Zubair. If you have any question, I have 2 minutes. You can ask me any questions you want regarding the section 1 and section 2. Hopefully you have understand the basics of deep learning. And if you have any question regarding TensorFlow certification, you can ask. I have 2 minutes before signing out. I'm waiting for your call. Thank you very much. Thank you for your time. I'm waiting for your reply. Okay, last question was asked by the Usman Aslam, that what about the hands-on practice? Hands-on practice is not that's simple. Actually, first of all, I have to make sure that everyone should know what is deep learning, and after that, I mean, it's a complete. You can suggest dash analytics. We can do that, no problem. Okay, I think that there is no question from any participants. So take care. Bye bye. Okay, I will try my best to send you the presentations, and Dice Analytics team going to do that, and share your emails. They're
Hi,
surely going to send it.
hi
Yeah.
Zubair. I think there is another question. Please
Yes.
check your question and answer.
Which one? Can you please?
The question is, what does a TensorFlow developer do at his job?
Okay, okay? Very good question. It's the same job description. And it's the same task as a machine learning engineer too. I mean, TensorFlow developer responsibility is. First of all, TensorFlow developer is part of the machine learning, and if somebody doing the job of machine learning or data scientist, so it's going to use the TensorFlow to develop his models. It could be any predictions he have to do. It might be possible that he's doing job in the data driven company. I mean, there is some sort of data available, and he have to being a data scientist, he have to make the data usable, and tell some story, make some clusters, doing some sort of amazing thing that it will help his company. So he have machine learning expertise and have the TensorFlow expertise right here. So if he's working in the software, who is working developing the AI based application, so he have to use with the help of a TensorFlow API. He have to make some sort of application and deploy it some where on the app, or whether on the mobile, whether on the web server. So TensorFlow certification or TensorFlow developer expert is would be a data scientist or would be a machine learning engineer, either way.
All right, hope that answers the question. There is another one. Um, the question is, any course recommendations? Um, do you think deep learning would be suitable for the people who are interested in learning TensorFlow?
Okay. Yes, obviously, deep learning is the prerequisite for it. But after learning the fundamentals of deep learning, you have to practice that particular concept of deep learning by using any library. And a machine learning library, such like you have scikit-learn, you have Pytorch, you have TensorFlow. But deep learning is basic thing. Is the you can say that it's prerequisite, and over the and you have to practice that particular deep learning with the help of TensorFlow if you want to get certification in it. So a TensorFlow, in short, that deep learning is very good. Obviously, deep learning is the first thing you should do, and the second thing, get your practice that deep learning using the TensorFlow library.
All right, there is a question. I hope I can answer that. Any fundamental course for deep learning and dice analytics? Yes, we do have a course. We have this training, which is of 8 weeks duration. You can find the details on our Facebook page as well. I have shared the link in the chat section as well. I hope that answers your question. Any other questions? Please feel free to ask any questions. Okay, there is another one. Can you please check your question and answer section, Zubair? Can you see?
Just a minute.
All right,
Yes, I can see.
all right.
So I'm using. I mean, I'm getting the same question again and again.
Have you answered this one? Kindly guide us about the Pakistan's job market in TensorFlow and machine learning. How to
Okay,
apply
yeah,
and
yeah,
get
yeah.
a job.
Yes, actually, yes, in Pakistan job market, actually, it's hard to say because it's the new technology and Pakistani market is getting prepared for it. Actually, there are two type of companies in the world which is using the machine learning. Data driven companies. I mean, data driven companies are those companies who going to make their strategies on the base of data. The second are the application developers who use the machine learning. I mean, face recognition in your mobile phone is the software application. In other words, that so our application is right now the world is getting prepared for it. So it's in Pakistan, the big companies like Jazz, Mobilink, Jazz, Telnor, and all the companies are moving towards the data-driven companies. But in Pakistan, yes, actually, the trend is building. I mean, there are more software houses who are doing the machine learning projects. Affinity is doing a lot of work on basically in data sciences and machine learning. To get a job, I mean, you have to be very efficient. I mean, you have to make up your portfolio. It's not that easy because I mean, in single interview, nobody can hire you. The data scientist or machine learning engineer are the particular portfolios that in one interview you don't going to get through it. What you have to do, you have to show your work that you have some expertise and in visualization, in statistical, you have knowledge of machine learning, you have a very good arsenal of different algorithms, and you know the basics of different things. So yes, if you are able to capable enough to show your work by showing your GitHub, maturing your GitHub by doing a lot of projects, make or your portfolio, obviously you're going to get through. I mean, doing the TensorFlow certification is giving you opportunity to show your expertise in machine learning. In the similar fashion, if you do a lot of projects and which are innovative project, and somebody see your project, obviously they're going to hire you. So it's not one way. It's not the free meal. I mean, you have to work really hard for it, and Pakistani market is literally preparing. World is all preparing. I mean, all over the world, people are moving from statistical analytics towards data analytics, and a lot of machine learning coming in it.
अच्छा ज़ुबैर, देयर इज़ अनदर क्वेश्चन एज़ वेल। ऑल्सो मैं ये चाहूँगी कि आप ना थोड़ा एक्सप्लेन कर दें कि किस तरह के प्रोजेक्ट्स करने चाहिए। कोई टिप्स हैं आपके पास रेज़्यूमे बिल्ड करने के, फॉर स्टार्टर्स?
Okay. Okay.
दूसरी चीज़ आपकी
Strategies मतलब
क्वेश्चन भी चेक कर लीजिएगा, अली हसनान खान का। सॉरी टू कट यू ऑफ।
नो नो, इट्स
प्लीज़
ओके।
कंटिन्यू।
जी, जी, बिल्कुल। अच्छा, फ़र्स्ट ऑफ़ ऑल जो आपको रिज़्यूमेस बिल्ड करने के लिए क्या-क्या चाहिए आपको? आई मीन देखो 3-4 एरियाज़ हैं आपके। एक तो आपकी कन्वोल्यूशन न्यूरल नेटवर्क है, इमेज प्रोसेसिंग है। आई मीन जो मैं दोबारा वही एग्ज़ाम्पल दे रहा हूँ, जैसे आपकी इमेज को क्लासिफ़ाई करना, इमेज के अंदर डिफ़रेंट फेसेस को डिटेक्ट करना, डिफ़रेंट चीज़ों को डिटेक्ट करना। It's complete whole different branch. I mean, we have totally stack of tools, totally uh, s- different है हमारे पास। जैसे हमारे पास कैफे है, जैसे हमारे पास YOLO है, एल्गोरिदम, और ये। सो फर्स्ट डिफाइन कि आपने कहाँ जाना है। आई मीन इट्स, आप डाटा साइंटिस्ट बनना चाहते हैं या मशीन लर्निंग इंजीनियर बनना चाहते हैं या दोनों के दरमियान में रहना चाहते हैं? दोनों में फ़र्क क्या है, मैं ये एक्सप्लेन करता हूँ। डाटा साइंटिस्ट इज somebody who have some data, और उसमें से कोई आपको ऑस्पिशियस रिजल्ट निकाल के दे, कोई पैटर्न निकाल के दे विद द हेल्प ऑफ एल्गोरिदम। तो उसमें एल्गोरिदम्स उसको आने चाहिए, बिकॉज वो उसमें से कोई पैटर्न निकाल के देगा और प्रिडिक्ट करेगा, क्लस्टराइजेशन करेगा। और जो हमारे बेसिकली वो होते हैं आपके मशीन लर्निंग इंजीनियर, उसमें डिप्लॉयमेंट की एक्सपर्टीज और आ जाए तो इट्स द सेम थिंग। सो इसमें फिर फर्दर आ जाती है आपकी डीप लर्निंग के अंदर। अब डीप लर्निंग के अंदर आपके एनएलपी है, नेचुरल लैंग्वेज प्रोसेसिंग है। अगर आप सेंटिमेंटल और जो टेक्स्ट से कोई मीनिंग निकाल सकें, जैसे आपके चैट बर्ड्स होते हैं, आपके रिपोर्ट बोल रहे होते हैं मोस्टली जो चैट के सिस्टम्स होते हैं, तो वो एनएलपी पे काम करते हैं। सो आप कोई सा भी प्रोजेक्ट पकड़ सकते हैं जो कि इनोवेटिव हो। पहले आप डिफाइन करें आपने किस तरह का प्रोजेक्ट पकड़ना है। आई मीन आजकल एक प्रोजेक्ट बड़ा मशहूर हुआ है कि आप मास्क डिटेक्ट करें, मास्क ऑन है या नहीं ऑन, सेफ डिस्टेंसिंग या सोशल डिस्टेंसिंग है या नहीं है। तो कैमरे से फीड लेके आप उसके थ्रू डिसाइड करते हैं कि वेदर गिव आउटपुट के भाई डिस्टेंसिंग है या नहीं है, फेस मास्क पहना हुआ है या नहीं पहना हुआ। सो दीज आर प्लेंटी ऑफ, आई मीन आप प्रिडिक्शंस कर सकते हैं। आप कैगल के डेटा सेट्स को लेके कोई प्रिडिक्शंस कर सकते हैं। अगेन समथिंग न्यू जो कि मार्केट में ना हो, और आप एग्रीगेट करें। एक चीज को पकड़ें, कंप्यूटर विजन को पकड़ें। कंप्यूटर विजन के अंदर आप डिटेक्ट करें, आई मीन किसी ने कब पकड़ा हुआ है तो ऊपर लिखा है कि उसने कब पकड़ा हुआ है। इट्स वेरी गुड प्रोजेक्ट, यू हैव टू गो थ्रू इट। अब इसमें इनोवेशन लेके आनी है आपने। आपने खुद सोचना है कि इसमें क्रिएटिविटी मैं कहाँ से लेके आऊँ। आपने ईद की जो छोटे छोटे मसले हैं उनको आप हल कर सकते हैं। जैसे यानी कि आपकी गाड़ी के अंदर कैमरा लगा हुआ है, गाड़ी अभी पॉपअप हुआ है कि आप गाड़ी के अंदर कैमरा लगा हुआ है, आपने अपना कैमरा इंटीग्रेट किया हुआ है कंप्यूटर के साथ, और वीडियो में आपको वो दिखाता है कि यहाँ ये गंदगी पड़ी हुई है, ठीक है। सो व्हाट यू कैन डू, ये आपकी वीडियो स्ट्रीमिंग जो हो रही है उसमें गंदगी जो डर्ट जहाँ पे पड़ी हुई है, ये गंदगी जो पड़ी हुई है, आप चाहते हो कि एक ऑटोमेटिकली कंप्लेन लॉक हो जाए, और एक एपीआई आप डेवलप कर सकते हो और वो सिटीजन पोर्टल पे जाके उस जीपीएस कोऑर्डिनेट्स के साथ लोकेट हो सकती है। तो ये एपीआई आप बना सकते हो, इस तरह के आप प्रोजेक्ट कर सकते हो। अगेन डिपेंड, आप कंप्यूटर विजन की तरफ जाना चाहते हो या नेचुरल लैंग्वेज प्रोसेसिंग की तरफ करना चाहते हो। हम नेचुरल लैंग्वेज प्रोसेसिंग का एक और बड़ा अच्छा एक प्रोजेक्ट आप कर सकते हैं। जैसे होटल रिजर्वेशन के फीडबैक के तौर पर आप उसको ग्रेडिंग दे सकते हैं। लेट्स सपोज के अगर उसको 5 स्टार मिला हुआ है तो इसका मतलब किसी ने फीडबैक अच्छा दिया है। तो व्हाट यू हैव टू डू, यू हैव टू जस्ट गेट ऑल द टेक्स्ट ऑफ द फीडबैक, और आपने उसको मशीन से ट्रेन करवाना है, जिसको 0 स्टार मिला, जिसको अच्छा स्टार मिला, और उसको ग्रेडिंग करवा सकते हैं। सो इट्स अगेन डिपेंड अपॉन यू कि आप किधर जाना चाहते हैं। तो दूसरा क्वेश्चन ये है कि एज अ स्टार्टर शुड वी लर्न डाटा एनालिसिस, क्लीनिंग, विजुअलाइजेशन और फोकस एडवांस लर्निंग ए टेक्निक एंड जॉब रिक्वायरमेंट फॉर बिगनर। ओके, अगर जनरली तौर पर आप मुझसे पूछे ना कि आई मीन अली ने पूछा सवाल कि एज स्टार्टर वी शुड लर्न डाटा एनालिसिस, क्लीनिंग, विजुअलाइजेशन और फोकस ऑन एडवांस एमएल एल्गोरिदम टेक्निक्स और आर जॉब रिक्वायरमेंट फॉर द बिगनर्स। ओके, मैं आपको इसका ये जवाब दूंगा। अगेन सेम थिंग, अगर आप डेटा साइंटिस्ट बनना चाह रहे हैं तो आपको डेटा एनालिसिस, डेटा क्लीनिंग, डेटा विजुअलाइजेशन ऑब्वियसली आपके आर्सेनल के अंदर ये एक्सपर्टीज होनी चाहिए, और ऑब्वियसली मशीन लर्निंग एल्गोरिदम्स आपके पास होने चाहिए, जिसकी वजह से आप उसको यूटिलाइज कर सकें। अगर आप बात करते हैं कि इस पर्टिकुलर मतलब है कि सर्टिफिकेशन की, तो उसके लिए आपको डाटा एनालिसिस, डाटा क्लीनिंग और विजुअलाइजेशन नहीं चाहिए, सिर्फ आपको डीप लर्निंग की एक्सपर्टीज चाहिए इसके लिए। जॉब रिक्वायरमेंट, अगेन अगर आप जाते हैं किसी सॉफ्टवेयर हाउसेस के अंदर तो वो ऑब्वियसली मशीन लर्निंग मांगते हैं। मशीन लर्निंग मतलब डीप लर्निंग के अंदर रिसर्च वर्क हो रहा है बहुत ज़्यादा, उसके अंदर डीप लर्निंग पे भी आप किसी एक फील्ड के अंदर गैन्स पे बहुत ज़्यादा काम हो रहा है, जनरेटिव एडेप्टिव नेटवर्क, उस पर भी काफ़ी ज़्यादा काम हो रहा है। तो अगेन डिपेंड अपॉन यू, इफ़ यू वांटेड टू बी द पार्ट ऑफ द डाटा साइंटिस्ट, so that's very good to begin by doing data analysis, cleaning and visualization, and अगर आप सिर्फ मशीन लर्निंग में और डीप लर्निंग में जाना चाहते हैं या किसी सॉफ्टवेयर हाउसेस जो कि आजकल नई प्रोडक्ट्स बना रहे हैं, तो यू कैन गो फॉर एमएल एल्गोरिथम्स। बट मशीन लर्निंग और मशीन लर्निंग इंजीनियर, डाटा साइंटिस्ट मोर और लेस इज द सेम थिंग। आई मीन एक इन डेप्थ नॉलेज और किस तरह का स्टैक उसके पास है, तो ये क्लासीफाई करना बहुत मुश्किल है, लेकिन आजकल यही चीज़ें इस्तेमाल होती हैं, इन टर्म्स यही इस्तेमाल होती हैं।
ऑलराइट, आई होप अली आपका क्वेश्चन आंसर हो गया। किसी के और कोई क्वेश्चंस हैं?
Mm, can you help my
ओके, उस्मान असलम, आप आपका मैंने चैट में पढ़ा है, कैन यू हेल्प मी इन मशीन लर्निंग बेस्ड FYP। आप को डिटेल्स शेयर कर सकते हैं, मैंने चैट में एक ईमेल शेयर किया है, आप काइंडली अपनी डिटेल्स उस ईमेल पे फॉरवर्ड कर दें, विल गेट बैक टू यू। एनी अदर क्वेश्चंस? ऑलराइट, चलें आई थिंक फिर वाइंड अप करते हैं। अली, जुबैर, डू यू हैव एनीथिंग टू शेयर फर्दर?
I just want to thank you everyone. It was very good experience and very good question being asked by the audience. I really enjoyed it. Thank you very much.
बिल्कुल ठीक है। चलिए, थैंक यू सो मच एवरीवन फॉर जॉइनिंग। अगर आपके कोई क्वेश्चंस हैं तो आप प्लीज़ फेसबुक पे इनबॉक्स कर दीजिए। दूसरी चीज़, आपको रिकॉर्डेड लेक्चर का लिंक जो है वो इवेंट पेज पे शेयर हो जाएगा। जो सेपरेटली भी चाह रहे हैं उनको लिंक मिल जाए, वो भी इनबॉक्स कर दें फेसबुक पे, तो विल शेयर विद यू। थैंक यू सो मच एवरीवन। थैंक यू ज़ुबैर, अल्लाह
Thank you.
हाफ़िज़।
Thank you. Allah Hafiz.